For decades, it has been an unwritten rule of North American politics. No matter how bad things get between the US and Canada, the snowbirds always fly south. Every winter, millions of Canadians pack their bags and pour billions of dollars into the Florida economy. It is a financial lifeline that the Sunshine State counts on like clockwork. But that lifeline just got cut. In a move that has sent tremors through the Florida governor's mansion, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, a man who usually loves his Florida getaways, stood in front of the cameras and delivered a three-word message that might cost Florida billions. I just can't. He isn't coming. And if the leader of Canada's biggest province is staying home, millions of his citizens are likely to follow him. Governor Ron DeSantis tried to laugh it off, but behind the scenes, the numbers are painting a terrifying picture for Florida's tourism industry. Let's go back to the moment that started this firestorm. Usually, Doug Ford is the first guy to defend business relations with the US, but when reporters asked him about his annual winter trip to Florida, the mood shifted. Ford didn't mince words. He looked directly at the camera and said, "It's going to be the first time I'm not going to Florida." His reasoning? He said, "I just can't do it." He explicitly linked his decision to the aggressive tariff threats coming from the US administration. He didn't ban travel. He didn't pass a law. He did something more powerful. He made it personal. He told millions of Canadians that spending their hard-earned money in a state that supports tariffs against them feels wrong. He encouraged them to support local instead. And when a leader like Ford, who is known for being pro-business, decides to boycott his favorite vacation spot, it sends a signal that the relationship between these two neighbors is broken. Now, you might be thinking, who cares if one politician skips a vacation? But you have to understand the scale of what we are talking about here. Canadians are not just random tourists in Florida. They are the economic engine of the winter season. They are the #1 international visitor group to the state. We are talking about over 3 million visits a year. These aren't people buying a Mickey Mouse hat and leaving. These are snowbirds. They stay for months. They rent condos, they buy groceries, they eat at local diners, and they pay property taxes. In some Florida counties, Canadian spending accounts for a massive chunk of the Q1 revenue. If Doug Ford's message resonates, and the data suggests it is, DeSantis isn't just losing a visitor, he is staring down the barrel of a multi-billion-dollar hole in his state's budget. And that is where the panic starts to set in. To understand why Ford is doing this, we have to look at the bigger picture. This isn't a tantrum, it's a response to a threat. The US administration has been floating a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. For Ontario, which is the heart of Canada's manufacturing industry, that is an existential threat. It puts thousands of jobs at risk. Ford's logic is simple. Why should Canadians take their money and stimulate the economy of a country that is actively trying to hurt their own? By canceling his trip, Ford is drawing a line in the sand. He is effectively saying that if the US wants a trade war, they are going to get a tourism war to go with it. And unlike a trade war, which takes months to bite, a tourism boycott is felt immediately. Hotel bookings drop overnight. Restaurant reservations vanish. It's a fast, brutal economic weapon. So, how did Governor DeSantis react to this looming economic disaster? Well, publicly, he tried to play it cool. In fact, he tried to turn it into a joke. When asked about the Canadian boycott, DeSantis quipped that maybe Canadians were just upset because they wanted to see what a Stanley Cup-winning hockey team looks like, a dig at the fact that Florida teams have won recent cups while Canadian teams haven't. It was a classic DeSantis move, combativeness masked as humor. He pointed to overall tourism records, claiming Florida is doing just fine without the Canadians. But political analysts are calling this a risky bluff. Mocking your biggest customers when they are already angry is rarely a good business strategy. While the governor's base might have chuckled at the hockey joke, the business owners in Fort Lauderdale and Naples weren't laughing. They know that a family from Iowa stays for a week, but a couple from Toronto stays for the winter. You can't replace that revenue with a one-liner. And here's the scary part for Florida. Doug Ford isn't alone. Reports are already surfacing of a silent boycott. You don't see people protesting in the streets, you just see empty seats on airplanes. Border crossings are down. Travel agents are reporting that clients who usually book Florida condos are asking about Mexico, Costa Rica, or even Europe instead. It turns out national pride is a powerful motivator. When Canadians hear their biggest neighbor threatening their livelihoods with tariffs, they vote with their wallets. It's a quiet rebellion. They're not making a scene, they're just changing their destination. And for a state economy that relies on volume, a 20 or 30% drop in Canadian traffic is catastrophic. It's the difference between a profitable season and a season where businesses have to lay off staff. If you get away from the governor's podium and talk to the people on the ground, the tone is very different. Real estate agents in Florida who specialize in selling vacation homes to Canadians are reporting a freeze. Listings are sitting longer. The usual flood of winter rental inquiries has turned to a trickle. Small business owners, the mom-and-pop shops that rely on the winter rush, are starting to get nervous. They are the collateral damage in this political fight. They didn't ask for tariffs, and they didn't ask for a feud with Doug Ford, but they are the ones paying the price. The panic isn't in the governor's mansion, perhaps, but it is definitely in the strip malls and boardwalks of his state. They are realizing that if the Canadians don't show up this year, that money isn't coming back. This situation proves one thing. In a globalized world, you can't just attack your neighbor and expect them to keep paying your bills. Doug Ford's decision to stay home was a personal choice, but it has become a rallying cry for a nation that feels pushed into a corner. Governor DeSantis might be betting that the Florida sunshine is enough for Canadians to forget the insults and the tariffs, but that is a dangerous gamble. As winter closes in, the beaches of Florida might be a little bit emptier than usual, serving as a very expensive reminder that in the game of economics, respect goes a long way. The snowbirds have wings, and this year they might just choose to fly somewhere else.